Am I the a-hole for not allowing my ex-fiancée to continue living with me after she broke off our engagement? My ex-fiancée broke up with me because she felt that we barely saw each other, which is a lie. I work in a family restaurant, and by the time my fiancé gets off work, I wouldn't make it home until 3 to 5 hours after her, depending on the day. She's been wanting me to find a new job because she felt that it wasn't fair she worked longer hours than I did, and that since I worked in the evenings, she didn't feel like we had enough time together. I always told her that I had no desire to quit, and that I think it'll be beneficial for us if she were to work with me because we'd get more time off and we'd get it to spend together. She told me that she didn't feel comfortable working for my parents, and I accepted that. She'd still complain from time to time, but I never thought she'd break up with me for it. Well, she did, and she said my work schedule was the reason. This upset me deeply because I didn't understand. I don't work Sundays or Mondays, and I get to spend time with her Tuesday mornings and Saturday mornings before I go to work. I thought we were past it, but I was wrong. When she broke up with me, I was hurt. She was apologizing, but told me that with our work schedules, she didn't see how we could get married if I wasn't going to try and find a job that was better for all of us. She said it would be better if we just stayed friends. I told her that she knew before we got engaged what my schedule was, and she shouldn't have accepted it in the first place. She told me that she accepted it because she thought that over time I would try and find a different job. After our breakup, I avoided her after that because I didn't really want to see her anymore. But then I felt that I shouldn't have to be the one uncomfortable in my own home. It's not big enough to avoid her completely, and I've felt that she needed to move out. I told her that I felt that she needed to go, and since we weren't getting married anymore, there was no point in us living together. She asked me if I was serious, and I told her that I was. I asked for the ring back as well. She got upset by this because she said that I gave it to her, and I shouldn't ask for it back since it meant something to her. I told her that I bought it so we could get married, but since we weren't getting married, I wanted it back. She told me that I could easily afford to get a new one and that I was greedy. She said that trying to kick her out and ask for her ring back after we've been together for so long was insensitive, and that I should be ashamed of myself. I didn't budge, and she ultimately gave me the ring back and moved out 9 days ago. But she told me that if I truly loved her, I wouldn't have asked for the ring back and would have allowed her to continue living with me. She said that she had a legitimate reason to call off our engagement and that she shouldn't be made homeless because of it. She said that it was her home too, since she lived there with me and she shouldn't have to live with her parents. I don't fault her for calling off our engagement. I just wish she would have told me sooner. What I have a problem with is the fact she thinks she still has to live with me and gets to keep the ring that I bought. Edit. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., Friday, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. The restaurant is only open during the evenings. She works 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. She's off on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What the actual heck did she think was going to happen? She obviously thought he would give in and start looking for a new job, and then they could get married, and was hurt when he didn't. But she really shouldn't have been surprised. Yeah, blackmailing your partner by threatening a breakup is stupid. She got the result that a person using their brains would expect. Not the a-hole. Engagement rings are given an expectation of marriage. No marriage, no ring. And she can't really expect that breaking up with you but still living together was ever going to work. She just wanted you to be the one to make her leave so she can justify to herself and probably family and friends what a meanie you are. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I failed to see the logic of the ex-fiancé. Not getting married but wants to keep the marriage promissory ring. Breaking up but wants to continue living rent-free? Delusional? Trying to force OP's hand, I suspect. Good grief. OP is better without her. She sounds delusional. Was he suddenly supposed to say, "Oh, I prefer you staying here and keeping the ring, even though the sight of you really hurts me"? Or was he supposed to suddenly have an epiphany that his job needed to be changed and how awesome she was right there still when he got a new job? She's manipulative. I don't think she really expected them to break up. Really break up permanently. Next story. Am I the a-hole for reporting my fiancé and her lover to the FBI for credit card fraud on the OFANS platform? Not long ago, I was engaged. My girlfriend seemed like someone you could build a life with. She was beautiful, intelligent, admired, and respected by everyone who knew her. She always had good ideas and instincts when it came to making money. She was the girl of my dreams, and I genuinely wanted to spend my whole life with her. After 2 years together, I proposed, and we planned to get married in Bali in 2025. In March of this year, I noticed something off about her behavior. She started coming home 4 to 5 hours late, often with excuses that didn't add up. I also noticed she put a privacy screen on her phone, making it impossible to see what she was doing on the phone. She began leaving the house looking like a diva, with impeccable makeup, dyeing her hair more frequently, and changing her hairstyle. She had always been well-groomed, but these changes seemed excessive, like something only models and stars do. I felt uneasy, and the feeling wouldn't go away. So, I put an air tag in her car to track where she was when she was late. The same day I did this, I saw she was far from home, and her car was parked in a rough area. I drove like a madman until I found her car and waited for her to return. After several hours, she came out of a house with a man. Surprise! They kissed passionately as they left. Despite my anger, I remained calm and decided to talk to her when we got home. I let her leave first so she wouldn't see me and then headed home myself. When I got home, I found her in the kitchen making dinner. Although I was furious during the drive, I managed to stay calm during our confrontation. After several hours of listening to her excuses, tears, and lies, she finally told me the truth. She had started a relationship with that guy. He was involved in stealing credit card data from online store customers and convinced her to create an OnlyFans account and other adult live streaming sites. Together, they used stolen credit cards to fund her model accounts and split the profits. At my insistence, she showed me her OnlyFans and other accounts. After that, I quietly went to the couch and fell asleep. The next day, I contacted the police and sent an email to the FBI explaining what my fiancé was doing. I didn't tell her anything. I pretended to be upset but passive, and she believed me. Nothing happened for more than a week until one day, police officers knocked on our door and arrested her. 1 month later, the FBI took over the case because her lover was part of a larger online scam group with many victims. A few days ago, I got a call from my ex-fiancé who is currently out on bail. She accused me of ruining her life, saying I overreacted and should have just broken up with her instead of getting her arrested. Now I want to ask you all, am I the a-hole in this situation? Should I feel guilty for contacting the police and the FBI? Not the a-hole. Scammers can burn just as much as cheaters. Thank you. She ruined her own life by doing something illegal. The a-hole? You're a hero. Hell yeah, OP is. Too many people turn a blind eye not wanting to be blamed for ruining a supposed loved one's life, when that person ruined their own life with their actions. And not taking action on the other's part makes them just as guilty of the act as the perpetrator. Good luck with the hunt of a decent woman deserving of you, OP. Not a-hole. There's nothing she did in this entire story that is the least bit sympathetic, and you owe her nothing. Also, just for what it's worth, she wouldn't have been arrested if they didn't have solid evidence of her involvement. And that means if you had just reported the lover, she probably still would have ended up being arrested. Right. Everything about this is disgusting and horrible. Cheated and carried on an entire relationship while she was engaged to someone else. Exposed her partner to whatever she may have contracted from the person she was sleeping with, or that person's partners. Created a pornographic account online with the person she was cheating with. Willingly committed multiple crimes. Stole and participated in what appears to be money laundering. If this was really a group of scammers, she may have been part of organized crime and might even be subject to RICO laws. She does not seem like a redeemable person. I hope he recovers and goes on to find someone who treats him well. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blaming my wife for our homelessness and yelling, "What the heck did you think was going to happen?" My wife and I are really struggling financially and moved in with my mom to help us get back on our feet. I know it hasn't been easy on her, but I just can't believe what she did. So, my stepsister is getting married and wouldn't invite my mom, as her and her siblings hate her. My stepfather refused to attend without my mom, and it was a whole big thing. I think his kids thought he was going to cave because he was always a pushover with them, but he meant it and didn't go to the wedding. I'm sure it hurt him, but he comes from a pretty patriarchal culture and he isn't going to openly show his emotions. My wife was upset on the day of the wedding, as she believes kids should always come before your spouse, and that his behavior is disgusting. I don't disagree, but it also isn't our business. My wife took some pictures of him the day of the wedding to show my stepsister that he wasn't sad enough. He was just hanging with my mom, and in one of the pictures he is laughing. But I find this extremely uncomfortable for a few reasons. It is creepy and invasive to spy on people and take their pictures. They aren't even properly dressed in some of them. Like in one, I can very clearly see he's drunk as he is just wearing his boxers. And no, he doesn't walk around the house like that. In another, my mom appears to be wearing his shirt with nothing under it. So it is just weird. Also, we are guests in their home. Well, his daughter sent him the pictures and said she was glad he had his whore to comfort him. He realized what my wife had done and blew up. He called us ungrateful leeches, called her a bee, and he threw our clothes all over his lawn. I'm furious. Living with them was such a great opportunity to rebuild financially, and she ruined it. I lost it and shouted last night that it is all her fault. And what the heck did she think was going to happen? She is furious and says I had no right to speak to her like that, regardless of what she did. Now for the top comments. So your wife spied on your parents, waited until she could catch them in an unflattering moment, took their pics without consent, and then sent the pics to someone to feed their rage? Your wife is an a-hole. The pictures aren't even that unflattering. They're just creepy. Neither of them walk around the house like that, so I can't even figure out where they were taken. She claims the sauna in their bedroom, so that means she was literally spying. I'm just curious what she thought the outcome was going to be. What did she have to gain from it, other than causing drama and issues within the family dynamic? He just wanted his kids to see he isn't as good of a father as he pretends to be, because he always puts my mom first. My stepsister seemed to think he was at home crying, so she wanted to prove he wasn't. Which doesn't even make sense to me, as not everyone shows their feelings outwardly and he did seem sad that day. The heck is any of this your wife's business? It wouldn't even be her business if she was their full sibling, let alone their step-sibling spouse. I just cannot even fathom involving myself in someone else's family business like this, especially when the family members I'm raging myself against are giving me house space. Some people don't have the self-preservation instincts of a toxoplasmosis-stricken rat, and your wife appears to be one of those. Not a-hole. Why are you still with your wife though? That was my first thought. Second thought was, what the heck did his mom and dad do to make the stepkids and his wife hate them? Sometimes it doesn't take them doing anything but existing. A friend's parents divorced probably 20 years ago, and 5 years later mom met a really great guy who had recently moved to town from several states away. Independent, not a jerk, seemed genuinely caring, etc. When my friend's little sister, probably 20 at the time, was away at college, found out that mom was dating, she lost her mind. Didn't care to learn who the guy was or what he was about. Just instantly hated him. Came home on break, and the first thing she did when she walked in the door was start throwing any object she could get her hands on at that guy. Neighbor called the cops. She got arrested, etc. As far as I'm aware, friend moved coasts, so I don't talk to him as frequently anymore. She hasn't been in contact with the family since she was arrested. Which all reminds me, I should probably ping the guy. It's been a minute or two. Last story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to call off my wedding after my fiancé slapped me? So my fiancé, 24 female, and I, 28 male, are supposed to get married in 6 months. However, something happened that's made me reconsider and it's kind of blown up. I got into an argument with my fiancé like a week ago over something pretty trivial, but it ended up getting a bit heated. I tried to keep things calm, but she ended up getting really mad and slapped me in the face. I was kind of shocked for a minute and then just told her she needed to leave. She refused at first, but then I raised my voice slightly and said, "You need to leave right now." She got some of her things and then went to go stay with her sister. I'm now considering ending things with her after she got physical with me. I honestly couldn't believe she did that. However, I've gotten massive pushback from pretty much everyone around me, telling me that ending our relationship and calling off our wedding over that is a massive overreaction. She did apologize, but I told her it doesn't change anything. My family is telling me I'm being crazy to end things over that. My friends are saying I'm massively overreacting. I pointed out that if I had done that to her, she would have almost definitely left me and would be 100% in the right to do so. They're all saying that's completely different because I'm significantly taller than her and physically stronger, while there's no chance she could ever physically overpower me. That is true, but I don't think it changes things. I'm being accused of weaponizing therapy language and appropriating the struggles of domestic abuse victims when what happened to me was in no way comparable to what genuine victims go through. I feel like I'm losing my mind and I'm doubting my reasoning now. Am I the a-hole? You would be the a-hole if you didn't end it. Can you imagine what she would do to possible future children when she gets angry and frustrated? She's not who you thought she was. Also, friends and family don't get a vote on your future happiness. She is showing him who she is, and she's someone who hits in anger. Any children would not be safe. OP would not be safe. Why would anyone want their son to stay in a relationship that is already deteriorating to violence? Absolutely. Once physical boundaries are crossed, the relationship's foundation is compromised. Protect yourself, OP. Not a-hole. Call it off. Everyone is trying to gaslight you. For some reason, so many people still think it's okay for women to be physically abusive to men, but it is never okay. I'm so sorry that happened to you and at the hand of someone that you loved. At the very least, postpone it. I personally would not trust anyone who is telling me that I need to accept being treated that way. So you may need to think about not only cutting contact with your fiancé, but also the people who are telling you that this is okay. Because it very much is not. Because most of the time, abuse escalates over time. Also, if you are planning on having kids, think about what her discipline may look like for them. Dismiss anyone who says what you did is fine, or makes you feel crazy for wanting to call things off. I experienced something similar when my best friend in college got really drunk one night and started screaming at me and shoving me around. Some of our mutual friends thought I should forgive her because she's small and cute, and no one else saw that side of her. I gave her one more chance. She blew it, and we are not friends anymore. Same with the friends who sided with her. They're not in my life anymore, and I'm better off for it. The people who are in my life now would never support that behavior. So if you're worried about the fallout with friends and family, just think about yourself 10 years from now and how proud you'll be that you made the right choice for you, regardless of what others were saying. Even if your fiancé didn't physically hurt you, she showed a huge lack of respect with an intention to harm you, and I'm assuming broke your trust in her. If you want to break up with her, do it. At a minimum, don't get married. Edit? Wow, I did not expect this to get so much attention. I appreciate everyone giving their feedback. I felt like I was going crazy. I'm going to take some time to think about where to go from here. Thank you.
Hey guys, Happy New Year! Our first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister it's a bad idea to have another baby? I, 28 female, had a big fight with my sister, 30 female, on Christmas who told me she's pregnant. Backstory. My sister, let's call her Sarah, suffers from bipolar, depression, anxiety, etc. Sarah had a child early this year. Let's call her Anna. Sarah developed severe postpartum depression/postpartum anxiety on top of her other issues. My brother-in-law travels for work, and even with the pandemic, has spent most Monday to Friday out of state. Sarah gets disability due to her mental illnesses and doesn't work. Our parents work, live out of state, and are high risk for COVID, and they help Sarah in other ways. I live less than a 10-minute drive from Sarah. Sarah had a breakdown and was admitted to the hospital where she stayed a month when Anna wasn't even 2 months. During this time, Anna lived with me since everyone else was with Sarah. After, it developed into a routine where Sarah would spend most of the day in bed, unable to care for Anna, and I'd have to take the baby. I've spent nearly a year now being the main caretaker for Anna Monday to Friday, plus trying to work from home. Anna has spent 75% of her weeks with me. The other 25% is when brother-in-law is home, or when Sarah is at my house with Anna. Even weekends when brother-in-law is home, I've had Anna 30% of the time as Sarah gets in destructive moods, and it isn't safe. My sister swears she'd never hurt Anna. To be fair, when Sarah is having a good day, she's a good mom to her. But she can't manage most days, and a precedent has been set that I'll be there for Anna when my sister can't. Sarah, brother-in-law, and Anna came over for Christmas. We were exchanging presents and I opened one for my sister. It was a pregnancy test and onesie that said, "Baby number 2 coming August 2021. The only thing I could say was, "Are you serious?" with an edge to my voice. Sarah lost it when I wasn't overwhelmed with joy. I approached Sarah after a bit and I said plainly that I wasn't excited about this, and I thought it was a bad idea and explained why. I told her I was worried about her mental health and unsure how she was going to care for another baby when Anna spent most of her life with me. I also said I was anxious about getting stuck watching both Anna and a baby. I told her that I wouldn't do it unless they paid me to be their full-time nanny. I told her how stressful it is working from home and watching Anna. I told her it's unfair to me, and her kids aren't my responsibility. I'm at my limit, and it just all boiled over. Sarah told me that I'm not being supportive, I'm shaming her mental illnesses, and I'm calling her a bad mom. She spiraled again during our convo and became destructive. My brother-in-law was able to get her to leave, leaving Anna with me. They got Anna the next day, and I haven't heard from them since. Brother-in-law is home through mid-January though. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister it's a bad idea to have another baby? Edit. I do want to add that CPS has been involved since Sarah's hospital stay last spring. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I was prepared to call you the a-hole because nothing much can be done now that your sister is pregnant. Then I saw that you've been caring for the kid she already has. I told her that I wouldn't do it unless they paid me to be their full-time nanny. Good for you. Stick to your guns. She's using you. Sarah told me that I'm not being supportive. No, you're just not being her free nanny. She's not being supportive of you by trying to tie you down and negatively affecting your life. She spiraled again during our convo and became destructive. Oh great, and she can't handle being told no. This is exactly why she should get help instead of pregnant. At least we can hope she gets both. Edit. Yes, I know she could have an abortion. Poor word choice. What I meant was that it's much easier to convince someone not to get pregnant than to terminate a pregnancy that they, however stupidly, want. At this point, there is probably nothing Opie can say to convince her to change course. She can only refuse to play nanny. I was also fully prepared to call Opie the a-hole, who would tell someone who's already pregnant that they shouldn't have the baby. But wow, she's not the a-hole at all. The sister is a humongous a-hole, especially for giving a positive pregnancy test to Opie as a gift. She was all but saying, "I'm having another baby for you to take care of." Unbelievable. Not the a-hole. She can't have babies and expect you to raise them. Stick to your guns. It is not your responsibility to raise someone else's children. Not just a she issue. Brother-in-law needs a new job and to step up big time. Opie is enabling their behavior by bailing them out. I highly doubt brother-in-law would have knocked up the sister again if he was pulling his weight with Anna. This isn't a Reddit question. You need to contact social services and find out what programs are available in your area that would help your sister care for her children and protect those children. Thanks. I don't want to get into it too much, but CPS has been involved since her hospital trip last spring. I do appreciate your concern though. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my former substance addict brother's dog's surgery, leading to its death, because I believed he was trying to scam me again? Title is a bit of a doozy, but sums it up basically. My 27 female, brother 32 male, has struggled with addiction for a long portion of his life. It started when I was in middle school, and he would steal my parents' money, sell their things, and stole medication from some of our relatives. My parents would tell me to never trust my brother, and nearly everything valuable in our home was kept under lock and key. My parents were always trying to get him help, and after an intervention, they had a massive fight. And he just left when I was in 10th grade. When I was a college sophomore, he reached back out to me and we started having a really tentative relationship. He promised me he was getting better, that he was seeking help. He told me that he had been in rehab, but he couldn't afford it anymore and our parents weren't returning his calls. He even showed me an admittance form, or some other type of official-looking medical document, that proved he was in rehab. He asked me to loan him $3,000 for rehab, because he needed to pay tomorrow or they'd kick him out. I had been working my butt off, and that money was meant to pay for this semester's tuition fee. He ghosted me afterwards. Obviously, it was a scam for D money. You probably think I'm stupid for believing him, but I really wanted to believe him. I was just an ignorant college kid back then, who really wanted her brother back. After that incident, I learned to never trust him again like my parents originally warned me. Last year, he reached out to my parents and I again. We haven't met in person because of COVID, but we've had a couple Zooms and texts. It's just a really tentative, barely there relationship. I think my parents are just scared of getting hurt again. He promised us he was actually clean this time and wanted to stay with us for an extended period of time to prove it. He hasn't asked us for any money or anything, so I was beginning to believe he was actually clean. Then he asked me for $3,000 for surgery for his dog. He sent me the vet documents as well. Honestly, I was so incredibly upset. My first reaction was that this was obviously a scam, and he hadn't changed at all. He had talked about his dog / shown us pictures before, but I thought he had forged the vet documents. I didn't respond at all, even though he was begging me. I definitely had the money, and I've paid for the vet fees for my aunt's cat before. I love animals. If I believed him, I probably would have paid. But I didn't, and his dog died yesterday. My brother called me a dog killer, and even sent me pictures of his dog's corpse, so now I obviously know it wasn't a scam. He told me that with family like me, who needed enemies? And that is because my parents and I never trust him, don't support him, that his life turned to crap, and now his best friend was dead because of me. Obviously, I feel incredibly guilty. Edit. I'm getting a lot of comments / info asking why I didn't call the vet or pay in person, and I thought I'd just edit a reply to one of the comments into the post as well. I hope you can understand that my immediate reaction was very emotional, which made it hard for me to think of doing that. I called him right after, and I asked him what the surgery was for, / the name of his dog's condition, and he couldn't tell me right away. He was like stammering and said, "It's something with his stomach, but I forgot the name," which made me think he was lying to me. So I just hung up and ignored all of his calls / texts. Looking back, it's not unimaginable that someone doesn't know the name of the surgery, but from my perspective, it looked like he was scrambling to support his lie. Also, paying in person wasn't an option. My brother lives in a different city. Not day haul. It's not uncommon for substance addicts to hurt their pets in order to get score. And there are rescues that will help people pay for vet's care that they can't afford. Or he could have surrendered the dog to a shelter and the shelter could have found it better care. I worked at a shelter, so I do know a little bit about this. I actually think you're still being scammed. I wouldn't feel bad because he has burned you before. It's kind of ironic that it's the same exact amount. A little too ironic. Edit. I don't know how common it is for addicts to mistreat their dogs to get meds, but it has been reported in the news. It is something that is taught to vets. I have several friends who are vets, and we've talked about it. I'm not trying to say that all or even most addicts will abuse animals. Kind of ironic that it's for the same exact amount. A little too ironic. That was my thoughts too. Not day haul. Don't feel guilty. Your brother took in a pet he couldn't provide for, and when it became ill, instead of surrendering it to an animal rescue or a humane society, he chose to let it die in pain. If you'd given him the money, there is no guarantee he would have actually used it for the vet bills. There has been a recent spate of addicts injuring their pets so they can get opioids through the vet's office. Not day haul, and he absolutely could still be scamming you. How do you know that's not a friend's dog he's been lying about, and who was humanely euthanized for other reasons? How do you know he didn't hurt the dog in an attempt to get pain meds for it that he could use? And yes, this absolutely does happen. There's even a database vets can look people in to see if they've done it before. Even if in the end, he told the absolute truth and the dog died because he needed $3,000 for surgery, it's still 100% not your fault. His dog, his responsibility. And he has no one to blame but himself that his family didn't believe him when he needed them to. Even if he was completely honest this time, it's still not your fault, OP. It's a cry wolf situation he created for himself. He's at fault. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out after she refused to help me with vet bills? Backstory, I, 21 female, managed to move out on my own 4 months ago in a different state to my family. I moved with my cats and one dog. My sister, 24 female, got kicked out a little over 3 months ago because she has a rocky relationship with my mother. She came to live with me, something I wasn't happy about. I thought I had finally escaped my family, and then she called me crying about being homeless, so I agreed. She's saving up to buy her first home and has a lot of money saved, $60,000, something she shows me on a regular basis. I am not that rich, as I just spent my savings on house deposits, university, and moving. She refused to pay me rent and made me out to be a monster when I asked because she was trying to save money. She drives my car, never pays for petrol, and 3 weeks ago, rammed the side into the gate. Something she said wasn't her fault until she admitted it. The insurance almost wrote my car off. I had to pay a lot in excess, so all my savings are just gone. My dog was in an accident yesterday where she tore the tendon in her leg. She's had surgery last year on it. She is limping, and I'm crying because that surgery cost $3,000. Now she needs it again. I asked my sister if I could loan the money off her, and she looked at me and said, I don't have any money for that. I got mad, but I know she has a right to say no. It's her money. So I told her she can't live with me anymore, because she was the reason all the savings I had left were gone. That it's okay she's saving money, but I can't save money with her living with me. She is angry at me, so is my family. She went back to my mom's, and I've been told I'm not welcome while she still lives there. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out? I feel like it was petty, but she knew I had no way to pay it after spending so much money fixing my car that she ruined. Edit. The excess was $2,500 as I am younger than 25, so insurance has a larger excess. I told her I would give her back $500 when I get paid as she said she would pay for the car. She didn't, and is now saying she wasn't at fault. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I say escalate the situation and go block everyone and go no contact unless you get help to pay for the car. Make it about the car, then you will have money for the dog. Tell your family she flouted money in your face, crashed your car, and refused to pay rent. She can get bent for all you care. Keep emotion out and logic in. Yeah, this. Escalate the situation. They're completely disregarding you and playing favorites with your sister. You need to show them that you aren't their punching bag, and that their actions have consequences. Not the a-hole. She needs to pay for the damage to your car. She's not responsible for the dog, but she did wreck your car. I told her we could call it even, and I just give her an extra $500 later, as she said she would pay for it, but now is saying she won't. I will go no contact. Mom doesn't know about the money she has saved, or she would make her get her own place. I will keep bringing up the car, but I think she isn't going to give me anything. So as of next week, I will be blocking. Thank you for your insight. I don't know if this is cruel or petty, but maybe it's time to tell your mom she has that kind of money? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not splitting my daughter's electrolysis fund? When my daughter was born, she had a veritable fur rug of black, curly hair on her back. It was super cute in a baby, but did not fall out like many weird hairs do on babies. Y'all, I cannot stress this enough. Her father is Italian, and she had more hair on her back than he did. After talking with my father, we started a small fund for her with the sole purpose to afford electrolysis in the future. Now, 13 years later, that fund is causing an issue. Essentially, there is about $5,000 in there. While she is not aware of this fund, and currently the hair is a light blonde and does not bother her, her doctor believes that by the time she is 16, the hair could become dark and coarse. While I love my daughter unconditionally, I also know that girls are often teased for physical appearance pieces they cannot control. Her doctor has confirmed that laser treatment might be uncomfortable but would be otherwise harmless and would probably solve the problem. Bleaching may be a temporary solution, but we would also pay for this from the fund. Recently, my older child has started college. Due to some funding issues with scholarships, we wound up owing $3,000 in tuition, /room, /board for the first semester. The second semester shortfall will be similar, but the issue should be corrected in his second year. Because I lost my job with the pandemic, I called my dad, who has set aside a similar fund for each grandchild, whether they have need or not, and he tapped my oldest fund. My stepmother is livid. She thinks I should have simply tapped my daughter's fund, since it was for cosmetics, and by keeping the fund, I'm saying my daughter's appearance is more important than my other child's education. I can kinda see her point, except that there are funds for all the grandchildren, and if she doesn't use it for hair removal, it is still my daughter's money. It is worth noting my father and stepmother have totally separate finances, so this money does not affect her. So I am, in fact, valuing my daughter's physical appearance over my older child's education, making me the a-hole? Not the a-hole. First off, your stepmom has zero say in what your dad chooses to do with his money. Second, you're not valuing your daughter's appearance over another daughter's education. You're valuing the psychological impact this could have on your daughter and your ability to prevent that. Both are equally important and both need to be attended to. As someone with an Italian father and lots of dark body hair, I 100% agree that this is about the psychological well-being of your daughter, and not her vanity. Side note, OP, look into laser hair removal when the time comes. It's a bit more expensive than electrolysis, but is significantly more comfortable, quicker, and significantly more effective in my personal experience. Not the a-hole. Kids are cruel. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I wish it wasn't so, but that's just the facts of life. That's not a cosmetic fund. That's a mental wellness fund. When I was in school, there was this one girl that was just ridiculously hairy. Thick black hairs. People called her the Gorilla Girl. Luckily, I wasn't one of them. Not because I'm a saint or anything. I could be a a-hole as well, but simply because I thought she was a cool girl. It did have an emotional toll on her. You're being great parents. Not the a-hole. Also, it's not as if Opie shames or forces her daughter or anything. It's just in case her daughter wants it or the hair become coarse. Good planning on Opie's part. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe.